Have you ever spent months caring for your potato plants, only to dig them up and discover tiny tubers, damaged skins, or potatoes that begin rotting just weeks after harvest? The surprising truth is that many gardeners don't lose their potato crop because they grew them incorrectly, they lose quality simply because they harvest at the wrong time. Harvesting even 1 or 2 weeks too early can dramatically reduce storage life. Waiting too long can also create problems, especially if wet weather, diseases, or pests arrive first. Today you'll learn exactly how to know when your potatoes are truly ready, the difference between new potatoes and storage potatoes, the simple signs that nature gives you, and the harvesting techniques professionals use to maximize flavor, size, and shelf life. By the end of this video, you'll never have to guess again. Let's dig in. Why harvest timing matters so much. Growing healthy potato plants is only half the job. The final harvest determines flavor, texture, skin quality, storage life, disease resistance, overall yield. A perfectly grown crop harvested at the wrong time may store for only a month or 2. The same crop harvested correctly may stay fresh for 6 months or even longer. That's an enormous difference. The reason is simple. Potatoes continue changing underground long after they reach edible size. Their skins become thicker. The flesh matures. Natural sugars stabilize. The skin firmly attaches to the tuber. Moisture levels balance. All these changes prepare the potato for long-term storage. Harvest too early, and these natural processes remain unfinished. Understanding 2 different harvests. Many gardeners don't realize there are actually 2 completely different potato harvests. The first is for eating immediately. The second is for long-term storage. These are harvested at completely different stages. Let's look at each. Harvest Type 1, New Potatoes. New potatoes are harvested while the plants are still alive. The foliage remains green. Flowers may still be blooming or have recently faded. These potatoes have very thin skin, extra moisture, tender texture, sweet flavor, creamy flesh. They are considered a seasonal delicacy. Their paper-thin skins rub off with your fingers. That's perfectly normal. Because the skin hasn't matured yet, these potatoes don't store well. Usually only 1 to 3 weeks under refrigeration. That's why they're best eaten fresh. Roasted, boiled, steamed, grilled. Their flavor is exceptional. When are new potatoes ready? Most varieties begin producing harvestable new potatoes about 60 to 80 days after planting. However, don't rely only on the calendar. Instead, watch the plants. Good signs include flowers appearing, plants reaching full size, healthy dark green leaves, strong stems. At this stage, carefully dig beside one plant. Use your hands. Feel gently under the soil. If potatoes are the size of golf balls or slightly larger, they're ready for early harvesting. Leave the remaining plants untouched. They'll continue growing much larger. This method allows multiple harvests from the same planting. Professional gardeners often do exactly this. Harvest Type 2, Storage Potatoes. Storage potatoes are completely different. Their purpose is surviving months after harvest. These are harvested only after they finish growing. The plants naturally begin shutting down. Energy moves from the leaves into the tubers. Growth slows. Then stops completely. Only then do the skins begin hardening. This process is essential. Without hardened skins, potatoes bruise easily. Every bruise becomes an invitation for bacteria and fungi. The most reliable sign, dying foliage. Many beginners panic when their potato plants begin turning yellow. In reality, this is usually excellent news. Healthy potato plants naturally age. First, lower leaves yellow. Then entire stems fade. Eventually the tops become brown. Finally they collapse onto the ground. This isn't necessarily disease. It's often simply maturity. Nature is telling you. The potatoes have nearly finished growing. This is exactly what experienced growers wait for. Should you harvest immediately? Here's where many gardeners make their biggest mistake. The tops die. They immediately dig everything. Unfortunately, the skins may still be too soft. Instead, allow approximately 2 additional weeks after the foliage completely dies. This waiting period allows the skin to toughen, minor scratches to heal, moisture to stabilize, better storage quality. Think of it like letting fruit finish ripening. Those extra days make a tremendous difference. The skin test. If you're unsure whether potatoes are mature enough, perform one incredibly simple test. Dig one potato. Rub the skin firmly with your thumb. If the skin peels away easily, wait longer. If the skin stays firmly attached, harvest time has arrived. This tiny test can save months of storage problems. Commercial growers use essentially the same principle before harvesting large fields. Weather plays a huge role. Timing isn't only about the plants. Weather matters too. Dry soil makes harvesting much easier. Potatoes come out cleaner. Less mud sticks to them. Disease spreads less easily. Bruising decreases. Storage improves. Harvesting after several rainy days often creates unnecessary problems. Wet potatoes require longer drying. Mud hides damaged tubers. Fungal spores spread more easily. Whenever possible, choose a dry day after several days without rain. You'll notice the difference immediately. Avoid harvesting in extreme heat. Very hot afternoons aren't ideal either. Warm potatoes bruise more easily. High temperatures also shorten storage life if harvested improperly. Early morning after the dew dries, or late afternoon, are often the best times. The soil is cooler. The potatoes are cooler. Handling damage is reduced. How different varieties mature. Not every potato matures at the same speed. Generally, varieties fall into 3 groups. Early season potatoes mature first, usually around 70 to 90 days. Mid-season varieties often need around 90 to 110 days. Late-season potatoes may require 120 days or even longer. This is why planting date alone never tells the whole story. Always combine the calendar with visual signs from the plants. Nature gives better clues than any calendar ever can. Now that you know the difference between harvesting new potatoes and storage potatoes, let's look at the harvesting process itself. Surprisingly, how you dig your potatoes can affect their storage life almost as much as when you harvest them. Many gardeners unknowingly damage a large portion of their crop with a shovel or garden fork. A potato that looks perfectly fine on the outside may have internal bruising that only becomes visible weeks later. Those bruises often turn black, soften, and eventually become entry points for rot. The goal is simple: harvest every potato as gently as possible. Start by cutting back the foliage. If your potato plants have completely died back naturally, you can skip this step. However, if only part of the foliage has turned brown or you want to encourage the skins to harden before harvesting, cut the stems down to about 2 inches above the soil. Then leave the potatoes in the ground for another 10 to 14 days. This short waiting period allows the skins to become thicker and more durable while stopping further top growth. Many commercial potato growers intentionally remove the vines before harvest for exactly this reason. Choosing the right tool. Although a shovel works, it's not always the safest option. A digging fork is usually the better choice because its tines are less likely to slice directly through the tubers. Insert the fork at least 12 to 18 inches away from the center of the plant. Many potatoes grow farther from the stem than beginners expect. Dig well outside the plant first. Then gently lift the soil rather than forcing the fork straight down into the root zone. Lift carefully and let the soil fall away naturally. You'll often find potatoes hiding much farther out than expected. Never pull the plant out first. One common mistake is grabbing the dead stems and pulling upward. This rarely works. Instead of bringing the potatoes with it, the stems usually break off, leaving the tubers underground. Always loosen the soil first. Only then remove the remaining stems if necessary. Search carefully. Many gardeners collect only the obvious potatoes sitting near the surface. But potatoes often hide several inches deeper or farther away. After removing the largest tubers, gently sift through the loosened soil with your hands. Then inspect the surrounding area one more time. Even one forgotten potato can sprout the following season where you don't want it. Should you wash potatoes after harvest? This surprises many new gardeners. The answer is usually no. If you're planning to store potatoes, avoid washing them immediately after digging. Water removes the thin layer of dry soil that naturally protects the skin. Excess moisture also increases the risk of fungal diseases during storage. Instead, gently brush off loose dirt using your hands or a soft brush. Leave stubborn soil attached. It will dry naturally and can be removed later before cooking. Only wash potatoes that you'll eat within the next few days. The importance of curing. Many people think harvesting is the final step. Actually, curing is just as important. Freshly dug potatoes have tiny scratches, invisible cuts, and delicate skins. Curing allows these minor injuries to heal naturally. During curing, the skin thickens further and forms a protective barrier that dramatically improves storage life. Place the potatoes in a dark location with good air circulation. Ideal temperatures are around 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit, or approximately 10 to 16 degrees Celsius. Maintain moderate humidity, not soaking wet, but not extremely dry either. Allow them to cure for about 1 to 2 weeks. Never cure potatoes in direct sunlight. Why sunlight is dangerous. Leaving freshly harvested potatoes lying in the sun might seem harmless. In reality, it can ruin them surprisingly quickly. Sunlight causes potatoes to produce chlorophyll. The green color itself isn't the biggest concern. Along with chlorophyll, potatoes also produce solanine, a natural compound that tastes bitter, and can be harmful if eaten in large amounts. Even a few hours of strong sunlight may begin this process. Always move harvested potatoes into shade as soon as possible. If you're harvesting for several hours, keep them covered with burlap, cardboard, or a light blanket. Sort before storage. Before placing potatoes into storage, inspect every single tuber. Separate them into different groups. First, set aside any potatoes with cuts, punctures, cracked skins, or insect damage. These should be eaten first because they won't store well. Next, separate unusually small potatoes. They're excellent for cooking but often lose moisture faster during storage. Finally, choose only the healthiest, fully mature potatoes for long-term storage. One damaged potato can eventually spoil several healthy ones nearby. Taking a few extra minutes to sort them now can save much of your harvest later. The best storage conditions. Potatoes prefer cool, dark, humid conditions. The ideal storage temperature is between 38 and 45 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 3 to 7 degrees Celsius. A root cellar is ideal. An unheated basement often works well. Some garages are suitable if they stay above freezing. Avoid storing potatoes in warm kitchens. Heat encourages sprouting. Also avoid freezing temperatures, which permanently damage their texture. Darkness is equally important. Even indoor lighting over long periods can encourage greening. Store potatoes in paper bags, burlap sacks, wooden crates, or ventilated boxes. Good airflow is essential. Never seal potatoes inside airtight plastic containers. Without ventilation, moisture builds up quickly and encourages mold. Keep potatoes away from onions. This is one of the oldest storage tips, and it's supported by science. Onions release gases that encourage potatoes to sprout sooner. Potatoes also release moisture that shortens onion storage life. Although both crops prefer similar temperatures, they should always be stored separately. A little distance between them can significantly extend the storage life of both vegetables. Check your stored potatoes regularly. Even perfectly harvested potatoes deserve occasional inspection. Every 2 or 3 weeks, look through your stored crop. Remove any potatoes that feel soft, show mold, develop unpleasant odors, or begin rotting. Early removal prevents problems from spreading to the rest of the harvest. Many experienced gardeners say that successful storage isn't just about harvesting. Well, it's about monitoring the crop throughout the winter. By now, you know exactly when to harvest potatoes, how to dig them without causing damage, and how to cure and store them properly. But before you head out to your garden with a fork, there are still a few important questions and common mistakes that every gardener should know about. These final tips can make the difference between a harvest that lasts until spring and one that begins spoiling within a few weeks. What happens if you harvest too early? Harvesting potatoes before they've fully matured is one of the most common mistakes, especially among first-time gardeners. At first glance, everything may seem fine. The potatoes look healthy, they're edible, and they taste good. But problems often appear later. Immature potatoes have thin, delicate skins that rub off easily. As they are handled, packed into containers, or moved into storage, tiny scratches and bruises develop. Those small injuries allow bacteria and fungi to enter the tubers, causing rot long before winter is over. Early harvested potatoes also contain more water. While that makes them wonderfully tender for immediate cooking, it shortens their storage life. If you accidentally harvest too soon, don't worry. Simply plan to eat those potatoes first, instead of storing them for months. What happens if you wait too long? Many gardeners assume that leaving potatoes in the ground longer always means a bigger harvest. That's only partly true. Once the plants have completely died back, the potatoes have essentially stopped growing. Waiting another week or two helps the skins harden, but waiting for several more weeks usually provides little benefit. Instead, it increases the risk of problems. Heavy autumn rains can leave potatoes sitting in saturated soil, encouraging rot. Cold weather may damage tubers if the ground begins freezing. Slugs, wyeworms, mice, and other pests have more time to feed on your crop. In some regions, repeated wet and dry cycles can even cause mature potatoes to crack. Underground. The best strategy is simple. Once the skins have hardened and the weather forecast looks favorable, harvest without unnecessary delay. Can you leave potatoes in the ground over winter? The answer depends on your climate. In areas with mild winters where the soil rarely freezes, some gardeners successfully leave potatoes underground and harvest them as needed. However, in regions with freezing temperatures, this approach is risky. Frozen potatoes quickly become soft and watery after thawing. Prolonged cold can also encourage diseases and pest damage. For most home gardeners, harvesting before the first hard frost is the safest choice. Should you save seed potatoes from your harvest? If your crop was healthy and the variety is open-pollinated or a standard cultivar rather than a protected hybrid, you can certainly save some potatoes for planting next season. Choose medium-sized tubers from your healthiest plants. Avoid potatoes that showed signs of disease, insect damage, unusual growth, or poor production. Store seed potatoes separately from those intended for eating. Label each variety clearly so you know exactly what you're planting next year. Selecting seed from your strongest plants year after year can gradually improve the overall quality of your garden crop. 5 common harvest mistakes. Let's quickly review the mistakes that cause the biggest losses. Mistake number 1. Harvesting immediately after the foliage dies. Instead, allow the skins to mature for about 2 weeks whenever weather permits. Mistake number 2. Digging too close to the plant. Always begin several inches away from the stem to avoid slicing through hidden tubers. Mistake number 3. Washing potatoes before storage. Keep them dry. Brush off loose soil and wash only those you'll cook soon. Mistake number 4. Leaving harvested potatoes in direct sunlight. Even a short time in the sun can cause greening and the formation of bitter compounds. Move them into the shade immediately. Mistake number 5. Ignoring damaged potatoes. Separate bruised, cut, or cracked potatoes and use them first. Never store them together with perfect tubers for long periods. A simple harvest checklist. Before you begin harvesting, ask yourself these questions. Have most of the potato vines completely died back? Have I waited about 2 weeks for the skins to harden? Is today's weather dry? Do I have a digging fork or another suitable tool? Is there a cool, dark place ready for curing? Have I prepared ventilated containers for storage? If you answered yes to all of these, you're ready for a successful harvest. The reward of patience. Potatoes teach gardeners one of the most valuable lessons in gardening: patience. After months of watering, hilling, weeding, and protecting the plants, it's tempting to harvest as soon as possible. But giving the crop just a little more time often rewards you with larger tubers, stronger skins, richer flavor, and months of reliable storage. It's one of those rare moments where doing less actually produces better results. Nature has already done most of the work. Your job is simply to recognize when the crop is truly ready. Final thoughts. Harvesting potatoes isn't about choosing a date on the calendar. It's about observing your plants and understanding the signals they give you. Watch for the foliage to die back naturally. Allow the skins time to toughen. Harvest carefully on a dry day. Cure the potatoes properly. Store only the healthiest tubers in cool, dark, well-ventilated conditions. Follow these simple steps, and you'll enjoy delicious homegrown potatoes for many months. After the growing season has ended. Whether you grow just a few plants in raised beds or rows of potatoes in a large garden, mastering the timing of harvest is one of the easiest ways to improve both flavor and storage. Success. If you found these tips helpful, give this video a thumbs up and share it with another gardener who loves growing potatoes. Subscribe to the channel for more practical gardening guides, seasonal growing tips, and proven techniques to help you harvest healthier, bigger, and more productive crops every year. Thanks for watching, and happy gardening.